Okay, my name's Courtney Seeley. This is Beth Hinkles and John Tashnik. And today we will be presenting the marketing plan that we made for JQ99.
Alright, so our task was to create a billboard for JQ99's new morning show, also to choose potential locations for the billboards, and also to raise the listener base in Kent County as well as Ottawa County, but mainly in Kent County.
Go back to real quick. Alright, well, here's
Yes.
Okay, so we kind of just missed over a slide there, but real quick, JQ99 is a FM-based radio station outside of Grand Rapids in Zeeland, Michigan. They do like Christian music. You can even hear them playing like in comments during like on Sunday and stuff like that. They started in 1987 by Brad Lancer, and moving forward, the new morning show was introduced in April 2013. The previous morning show was a lot more conservative. They didn't have such a clashing host as they do in this one. So the two people here are Ace and Sabrina. Ace was a Indiana Pacers announcer. He has like tattoos all over him, and he's like, but they're both Christian, so it's kind of like a clashing idea, I guess. Because like Sabrina, as Brad described, is like the girl next door, like really like nice, like, sweet, and like so it's kind of like a clashing idea where that he's trying to portray like how things are going to work out and see what people think, and it's a lot different from like their previous morning show.
Might want to use the keyboard then.
Okay, no, we got it. Okay, JQ99's listener audience is women in their 30s and 40s. They really try to target the soccer mom with 2 kids, like driving in the minivan. And they have a really strong presence in Ottawa County compared to Kent County. They're about in the top 5 radio stations in Ottawa County, but in Kent County, they're in the top 12. And so JQ really wants to increase their listeners in Kent County. And like we said, the competitors have a strong hold in Kent County. Their main competitor is WCSG, and they're based out of Cornerstone. Right here we have a graph of the women in ages 30 to 54 years old. And there's a substantial amount more of women in Kent County that JQ can reach out to than Ottawa County right now.
So their current marketing mix, as a lot of other companies have discussed, they use both Facebook and Twitter, but like their Facebook and Twitter is like very active, unlike other companies where they just post like once a week. They're always on top of everything. They have a lot of followers on both Twitter and Facebook. They put a lot of things out, like promotions or like where the morning show will be at. Because sometimes the morning show will like broadcast from cafes or at different locations. It's never like different. They might not even be in the studio. So they do a lot of things for Facebook like for that. And the cool thing about them is like their followers or their friends on Facebook give like a lot of like insight. They talk a lot about the company and what they like and what they don't like. They also use online radio. On their webpage, it's very interactive. It tells you like where, what they're broadcasting, who's talking right now, what are the different programs they have. You can go on online radio, so if you're at work or wherever you are, if you're not in the car, you can listen to that online. And they use like the standard billboard and paper advertisements. Last November, they did a fundraiser for a group called Paradise Bound, which is an orphanage in Guatemala, and it was a good way to raise money for that organization, but they also pitched a lot of their the radio stations to a lot of people, and they actually saw a lot of growth in listener audiences for November.
So PES stands for Political, Economic, Social, and Technological. For political, all radio stations are controlled by the FCC, and they regulate what radio stations can say, such as no profane language or vulgar language. And they also say who can host, have the airwaves. And if there's 2 people who want the same station, then they have a bidding war for it. The internet radio has become a huge boom lately. So iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify is a huge thing right now. And right now in Washington, they're trying to figure out ways to tax those the internet radio. But along with taxing the internet radio, they also want to extend it to traditional radios. So they're going to have a new law that would tax for each artist that is played, and part of that money would go to the artist, so royalties. And so that's all of us right now in Washington. For economic, all radio stations, most radio stations rely on advertising for their income. And if there's bad economic times, most businesses cut their marketing programs first because it's an easy place to cut and they can cut it really fast. And so that hurts radio stations because they rely on those advertisements to help them with their profits. And the new laws that are in Washington right now, they could hurt the radio stations, making them pay more taxes and hurt their bottom line. For social, most listening happens while in the car. This is a change from the past few years. People would listen in their homes, but now with the internet radio, they'd rather just turn on their computer and choose exactly what they want to listen to. So that's why we're doing the billboard, so it hit the people in the cars. But people aren't willing to give up all traditional radio because they like hearing something local, and the DJs are local, and they're talking about current issues around them. And the Arbitron book release is a book that is released to radio owners, and it gives a ton of different statistics about what age people are what age their listeners are, their income level, their gender, how long they listen for, what other radio stations they listen to. So that's an awesome tool for radio station owners. And the Arbitron book release says that the average age for radio listeners is 44 years old. And this is a slight increase from last year. Last year was 42 years old. So it's an obvious trend because most young people listen to internet radio. For technological, the FCC has recently come out with new data, kind of like the Arbitron book, that helps them track listeners and such. And again, internet radio has changed the dynamics of traditional radio.
Okay, for SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We came up with a lot of good stuff. A lot of strengths, actually. One of their strengths is that there is a lot more contemporary music than some of their fellow Christian radio competitors, which can bring in a younger audience, because right now the majority of the audience tends to be young to middle-aged mothers, so they can try to tap into the contemporary music. They also have a really interactive and active online community that includes prayer communities, as well as as previously stated on Facebook. People comment all the time. They give lots of feedback. It's really good. They're constantly interacting with each other, the people that listen, as well as JQ99. Not only is it online, but they actually do things, as previously stated. They go on missions trips. They have women's retreats, all these type of things. So it's a really big strength that their community is really close. One of the weaknesses is that their target is rather specific. In order to reach that target audience, you really have to know who they are, what they want, all of that. Also, their main competitor is WCSG, which is Cornerstone's radio station, and they actually do not have advertisements because all their funding comes from donations. But JQ99 gets all their funding from their advertisements, so it is kind of hard with competing with someone who doesn't have to have commercials. An opportunity with this new radio show is, again, it could reach new listeners, being a different dynamic, having someone more edgy in the case, with someone like Girl Next Door, like Sabrina, could reach new people. And there is really an untapped market in Kent County, which they're hoping that some of the WCSG listeners start to kind of flip-flop between JQ99 and WCSG instead of just WCSG. And a threat, again, WCSG has a really, really strong hold. They are in the top 5 in Kent County, unlike JQ99, who's only in the top 12. Another threat would be the taxing of the radio stations, which could deplete some of their revenue. And actually, the new morning show could potentially turn new listeners away who were devoted to the old morning show. All right, for SMART goals, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. We had a really specific goal. It was to create a marketing strategy for a potential billboard for commuters in and out of Kent and Ottawa County. So we had to choose specific billboard locations that we thought would be applicable in this situation. In order to measure our success, there's the Arbitron book release, which again has a bunch of statistics that includes how long people are listening, who is listening, how many, all the demographics type stuff, which we would be able to see how they rate comparatively to other radio stations. It's also really easy to measure via Facebook and other social media sites because their community is so active. They do give feedback, really they say what's on their mind, we've discovered. So you can kind of measure the success pretty instantaneously with that. We had to make sure that our goals are achievable. We're just shooting to increase listening. We're not shooting to be the #1 radio station in all of Kent and Ottawa County. We really just want to raise the numbers in Kent County because we really think that there is some potential there to grow from 12 into the top 5. And to be realistic with like that, like I said, it's not just we want to grow to be this huge internet radio sensation and huge Grand Rapids sensation. It's just we want to raise the numbers in Kent County and be realistic about it. That it might take some time for adjustment with the news show and everything, but we think that's it's a realistic goal. And also, in order to be timely, we really have to get these billboards up ASAP while the morning show is new and it's fresh in people's minds, so that they can really see what it is, and it's a constant reminder while they're going in and out of Kent and Ottawa counties.
So STP stands for segmentation, targeting, and positioning statement. Like we said before, JQ, segmentation in radio generally is segmented by age and gender. So if you ask a classic rock station who their main listener base is, they'd say a middle-aged man. If you ask a country station who their main listeners are, it'd be younger, male and female. And Christian radio is generally women, middle-aged women, and that rings true for JQ99. So so they're doing a great job of targeting the women, and they have online prayer communities. They have all these games in the morning that are tuned into like mothers, and they also have women's retreats. And when we met with Brad, he said his main goal is to give like women a break from their hectic lives. When they turn to the radio station, they have 3 kids screaming in the back. They just want to have a relaxing moment and listen to some relaxing music and have DJs that believe the same things that they do. So we tried to come up with a positioning statement that went along with that. So it was to busy mothers who live chaotic lives. JQ99 is a Christian radio station that will give a relief to your life by tuning into a radio station with music and DJs that bring a message of positivity, comfort, and laughter. So we thought that this gets at what JQ99 is trying to do.
For the product lifecycle, we didn't do the actual company as a whole. We just did the morning show because we think it's more relevant to what we're doing. So the morning show, obviously, we've been saying it's pretty new. It's just an introductory stage. So they're pushing a lot of advertisement and the billboard that we're doing. And the main thing is just they want to get it out now, people start listening to it. So because Brad's really relying on this morning show to bring listeners in Kent County and in the overall Grand Rapids area. So this is the main thing right now, is just to promote and push the morning show as best as we can, and one of the ways we're doing is through the billboard.
For our milestone plan, like we said before, the billboard needs to be up as soon as possible, and we need to get commuters and listeners to know what this new morning show is all about. So we contacted a few different billboard companies, and we believe that GR Outdoor would be the best company. They're local, and JQ99 has gone through them before. They gave us a quote of about $2,350 per month, and that's for the billboards along 196 right there. We believe that 196 or 131 would be the best spots because that would catch the listeners going from Kent to Ottawa County and vice versa. And we would want them to do digital billboards so they could choose the time of day that they want to advertise. And also, if they have multiple graphics or different pictures that they want to show, they can change that whenever they want. They can just contact GR Outdoor. And so we think that would catch the most listeners. The first month should be heavily advertised. We think it should be all throughout the day because it's in its introduction phase. So it should, so listeners and commuters could see the sign to maybe up to 6-7 times a day, depending how much they drive. And then the months after should be less advertising. So for the second and third months, maybe just during the morning show, from like 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And in the years to come, we think that JQ99 should continue advertising to just let listeners know, hey, we're still out here, we still have this great radio station, tune in. So.
I'll just reiterate a couple of evaluation measures that Beth already put out there. They do 2 ways they can do it, is through the Arbitron book release and social media. Just to go over it real quick again, Arbitron book release, as we mentioned, they can just measure anything they want. They can know who's listening, what time, pretty much anything, like how long they're listening. So the biggest thing is they're going to see it either a growth or a decrease in Kent County based off the billboard and the other advertisements they're going to put out. A big thing that we're going to see though is like the location of the billboard, if the location is actually working for them or not, and what might be the change. And social media, I know it's kind of like it's kind of redundant, social media, but like their Facebook and like Twitters are very like active, as I already mentioned. And you can even go on there now and see like positive and like negative reviews of the morning show already, and it's only been out since April. So if they, those are 2 like great ways that we can gauge how well like the billboard's doing, how well the advertising is going, and like the locations of the billboard.
All right, for contingency planning, we've actually already kind of run into this because when we spoke with Brad, his original plan, he really wanted to juxtapose the 2 personalities of Ace being kind of the edgy wild guy and Sabrina being the girl next door. So he kind of wanted to play off that and kind of say, oh, look at these different personalities coming together. But we discovered through comments on Facebook and their website that that might not be the best way to go because there were already some negative reviews. People that were used to the old morning show, they didn't like the fact that Ace was kind of like talking about his tattoos and stuff on the air. They didn't like his like kind of outlandish personality. It wasn't all negative, but there were definitely a couple pretty negative comments. So we're like, we don't know if we want to play on that for a billboard if people already in the first couple weeks of the show saying they're not the biggest fan. So instead, we did have to use contingency planning to focus instead on the Christian and the positive message of the show. So instead, with our potential billboard that we made, it says your morning encouragement with Ace and Sabrina, which really just brings them together. It doesn't focus on their differences. Instead, it focuses on exactly what the radio station is about, what they want to portray, instead of just the personalities of the people in the show. And so in conclusion, we wanted to develop a cohesive marketing strategy that created an effective potential billboard, as seen on the previous slide, that would also bring in more listeners and that would increase their Arbitron ratings. And do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
The Arbitron thingy, where do they get their information from? How do they collect that? It seems kind of just curious.
They have these like boxes, or not boxes, these like scanners or like chips that they give to certain listeners, and then they like measure it by that, and they also do surveys, and it's released biannually.
Anyone else?
Where is the studio located? Is it downtown?
It's in Zeeland, Michigan. So,